Okay, we are on the bottom of Kuf Ha Dalid Amud Beis 124b, and we are in the middle of a discussion between assets that accrued after a father died. Does a Bechor, a firstborn, get a double portion of the assets that accrued after a father died? So we had assets that the orphans themselves they replanted. We had things that grew on their own, a cow that gave birth. Now we're talking about a loan. So somebody owed the father $100,000. Now the father died. Does a Bechor get a double portion of that or not? So we pointed out that for the Rabbanan, for sure not. We thought so, at least. So we had two opinions, Lefi the Rabbanan. If a Bechor, a firstborn will receive a double portion of a loan that his father bequeathed to him, and either you view the document as such a strong hold on the document that it's like it's in his possession, or not. That's the Rabbanon. So two opinions within the Rabbanon how we hold. Rebbe says for sure you do it even if you do it with interest. We point out it's not an interest by a Jew, the interest by a non-Jew. Meaning in a case where there's no problem to take interest, Rebbe allows you to take interest there also. Okay, so let's go from, I guess, 6 lines from the bottom. Amle Ravach, is that what you have also seen? Yeah. Amle Ravacha bar Rav. Ravacha, the son of Rav, said to Ravina, Amr le Ravacha bar Rav le Ravina. Ravacha, the son of Rav, said to Ravina, the following story happened. Ikla Amemar went, he traveled, La Asrin, traveled to a certain place. And then what happened? He was asked to speak. He was a scholar in residence. And what did he say? The Darish, Bechor Notel Pishnayim B'milva. He said, you should know that a firstborn receives a double portion of a loan. So the father died and somebody owed him $100,000, and the father has a loan document. So that gets passed down to the son. So now if it's $100,000, they're going to divide it up. Once again, you have 5 siblings total. You'll divide it into 6. 4 will get 4 portions. The Bechor will get 2 portions. So aval lo beribis. But if this document said, you lent me $100,000, I will pay you back $150,000. Right? So you lent it on interest. So now the ribis part, that extra $50,000, will be divided up equally, $10,000 per brother. The Bechor does not get a double portion of that. Now the question is, why not? The question is because if you view the document, if you view the document as if it's already been, as if the money's already in the bank, and the document's viewed as a muhsak, it's already by you, just the technicality to go get it. So why not the ribis? So the Rishbamir says an interesting thing. What if you lent on collateral? So what if you lent somebody $100,000 and they gave you a mashkon, it's called the collateral. I don't know. They gave you a Rolex watch. They gave you their Cybertruck in the meantime, right?
Right.
So what do you say?
You don't take the Cybertruck.
You don't take it as collateral. So what happens in that case? So in that case, we said the Rishbam says that that the general rule is that the Baal Chov, the person who's owed money, acquires the mashkon. Or whatever different halachas are. Let's say he never gets paid back. Let's say he can always use this as a source of being paid back, the collateral. So he wants to say that so too the shtar. He wants to equate a collateral that you get. Instead of a collateral here, the guy gave you a document, meaning both are means to get paid back. But that's only true by a document which represents the actual money that you lent out. However, the ribis part, The ribis part, that's not similar to a collateral. That's something extra. That's not as represented in the document. Right? Because we think about it, the actual money that was left out, that was lent out, the star of the document represents that money. But the hard part is that the extra $50,000, which is also written in the document, that's not represented as strongly in the document.
It's hard to follow.
That's hard to follow. Yeah.
Right.
That's like new money. That's like new money that was never here before. The $100,000 I had.
Okay.
In return for that, so to speak, I have a document. The additional $50,000 that he promised to give me, is row, is not muhzak. Versus the $100,000 that I gave him, that I have a star, that I have in place of a star. The same.
One can look at it almost the same as rent. You know, when you rent, you're basically giving somebody your place, in return for which they're going to give you something. The place you have, that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is a promise. It's not a.
Correct. So that's so here the split's a little bit hard. Why ribis is not considered
It's kind of the new part, the extra part.
Yeah.
The new part, like we were saying before. Well, if it changes on its own, it's one thing. But
correct. So here the ribis is not viewed as like changing on its own. It's viewed more like someone's promising you an extra $50,000. Right, meaning you one time owned the $100,000, right? So you gave that away. In place that you got a star. The star basically says, I have the money anytime I want it. It's right here. Now you happen to write in that same document that the guy's going to give you back $50,000. You never owned that $50,000. So there, the document is much more of a way to make sure he keeps his promise, so to speak, versus representing the money, the $100,000. Yeah. Okay. A little bit hard to understand, but yeah. So, okay, but that's what he went to this place, and that was his scholar in residence speech that you get double portion of the loan, but you don't get double portion of the ribis. So now, Amar Lei. So they said to him, Nahardai letaimayu. So. Yeah, so they said that he's a Nahardai. He's from the place of Nahardai, and he holds like the other Nahardais. Who's that? Kirav Nachman. They're both from Naharda, and they both hold that a money that was loaned out is considered muksach. It's considered like it's already by the person, and therefore a bechor will get a double portion. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go into a discussion about this. The Amar Rabbah, they changed some of the text over here. I'm just going to read it from the changed text. The Amar of Nachman Gabu Karka Einlo Gabu Mos Yeshlo. The Rabbah Amar Gabu Mos Einlo Gabu Karka Yeshlo. So now we're going to now talk about there's going to be a difference between if the person who owes money, he owes money back, or you can get paid back with land. So if you lent money out, so one opinion holds that money, right, so there's going to be a debate now. If you loan money out, is that considered like it's yours? I mean, the money that's owed to you, are you mukzak in the money or not? That's one point of dispute. Maybe the money you lent out won't be the money that's going to get paid back to you. It's going to be different money. So you can't view the money as always yours. Really, it's by you, because different money going to be that you lent out is going to be different than the money that you're going to get paid back in. That's one. And on the other hand, there's let's say you were supposed to, get paid back from the land. So the guy borrowed $100,000 and promised you land in return. That land that's promised, does that get inherited as a double portion or not? So on the one hand, there was a lien on it from the time the father was alive. So that lien was around. So maybe that's like a mashkon. That's like a collateral. I had a lien on the land, so I inherited a lien, so I can get a double portion of that. Or not, or maybe land is not. Why would land not be? I never had the land. I lent you money. I didn't lend you land. Money I lent you, so then I have a shtar. So the shtar tells me, the document tells me, I can collect the money. I never had land. Land is just a future collection. So now each one, so Rav Nachman says that if he promised him land, he does not get a double portion. If he promised him money, he does get a double portion. And Rabbah held the opposite. Rabbah said, if you gave land, then you do get a double portion. And if you loaned on money, then you do not get a double portion. Yeah. Okay. So now let's go into that. Yeah. So okay. So that's the opinions of Rabbah and Rav Nachman. But you see, what we needed is Rav Nachman. Why? Because we just said that a Meimar agrees to the other guy from Naharda. Who's the other guy from Naharda? The other guy is Rav Nachman. How do you see that Rav Nachman holds of this? Because Rav Nachman says that when it comes to loaning money, you will get a double portion. If you inherit a loan from your father, you will get a double portion. Oh, Rav Nachman holds like a Meimar. Two Nahardayans hold the same opinion. Okay, very nice. Now, Amr le Abaye. Abaye is going to attack each one of these opinions. So whether you hold only money gets inherited as a double portion, or you hold that land gets inherited and you get a double portion of that, right? Each one does not hold of the other. So if you hold money, that you get a double portion from money, you don't agree that you get a double portion from land. And if you hold you get a double portion of the land, you do not agree that you get a double portion of the money. Abaye is going to ask two questions on each opinion, and then we're going to defend each one. So, Amar le Abaye le Rabbah. So first we're asking on Rabbah that says, when it comes to if a guy has a pre-existing loan, it's owed to him, that a firstborn gets a double portion of, only if he was promised money, but not land. Amar le Abaye le Rabbah. Lididach kasha and le Rav Nachman kasha. Both have a kasha on you and Rav Nachman. Lididach kasha. There's a question on you. Why? Ma'ishna ma'os. Delo. You Rabbah said that ma'os, money, if a guy promised me $100,000 of money, I do not get a double portion of that. Why not? Ma'ishna ma'os delo dilav hani ma'os shavak avun. Your father, right? The $100,000 that he gave, the exact money he gave, we viewed it, it's already going to be spent. When you loan out money, you assume the borrower is going to go spend it. When he gets paid back, that money, it's not the exact same money. So that's a new thing. It's new monies. So new monies is not considered a mukzak. New money is considered a roi. Well, if that's true, so karkanami, land should be the same way. Karkanami, lav ha-karka, shavak avun. Your father never gave this guy land. Your father lent him $100,000. So he's asking, what's your split? If you view money is not strong enough to be considered muksak, that it's already by the father, what could be the explanation? Must be because there was different monies going to be paid back. Well, if that's true, then the father never gave him land either. He gave him money. He had a lien on the land. So why do you split? Why do you view the money that's coming as no good? There he gave him money, but since he's going to get paid back with different money, it's not considered a mukzak. You should say the same thing by land. He didn't even give him land. He gave him money. He's going to get paid back in land. That's a new thing already. So that's the first question on Rabbah. The Ode, furthermore, we're going to see a case at the bottom of the Amud of a, let's just read the words. Mistaber time of the Bnei Marava, the Kadim Safta, Vizavna, Zvini. So there's going to be a case on the on the bottom of the Amud, which basically says that someone says that so give names Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Yaakov is the grandson, so he wants all the inheritance to go to his grandmother, and then to his heir. So he wants it to go to his grandmother, and then after she dies, he wants it to go straight to his descendants. So, and this guy has one daughter, and the guy has one daughter. So he dies, and then he dies, the grandmother dies, and his daughter dies. So now comes his son-in-law, and says, listen, you promised the land's going to go to your grandmother, and if not your grandmother, it's going to go to your daughter. That's my wife. So now my wife's not here to collect. I want to collect. But the problem is that the daughter was never around to collect the grandmother's inheritance. I guess the daughter died first. She wasn't around to collect the grandmother's inheritance. So the husband's claiming, listen, I want this property. But the problem is that a husband is bound by the same rules as a firstborn. He only gets what the wife has, not what was coming to the wife. So and there we're going to have a machlokas, what the halach is. But we're saying now that it's very logical that the husband's not going to get anything, because that land that the grandmother got, if she would have sold it, it would have been a good sale, right? So since if she would have sold it would have been a good sale, since the great granddaughter never had a chance to inherit it, it was always potential land coming to her. And if it was potential land coming to her, the husband can't come with a claim saying he wants the land. It's all potential. Because how do I know? Because if your grandmother would have sold the land, then the daughter, his wife, would have got nothing. So Abaye tells Rabbah, you want to tell me that land, that you get a double portion of land? He said, but why should you get a double portion of land? Meaning, if the husband, so now back to our case for a second, a guy lent out $100,000 and there's a lien on the property, which means that if he doesn't get paid back $100,000, he's going to his house in Southwest Portland and taking the house. Okay, so, but hold on. Why should that house? Oh, so says Rabbah, if the father dies, the one who's owed the $100,000, the son can go and collect a double portion of that property. He can go. The children take the house, right? And if the house is worth $100,000, they'll divide it up, and he'll get the firstborn. Now, hold on. Why should a house be considered property that was already viewed as in the hands of his father? Let's think. If the guy who sold the house, the guy could have sold it at any point, and it would have been sold. So since he could have sold it and it would have been sold, so it's not considered like it is the father's. Usually your property, someone else can't sell it for you. So here you have a lien on the land, but it's only a lien. At the end of the day, if the guy wants to sell the property, it would be considered a good sale. Yeah. So those are two questions on Rabbah. First question is, what's your difference between money and land? And the second question is, we see that land is not good enough to be considered mukzak, because if that person who you want to now inherit their land would have sold the land before it got passed down, it would have been a good sale. Since it would have been a good sale, you see that it doesn't belong. That it doesn't belong to you.
Money's part of the estate.
So the guy owes me $100,000, and he promised me his house if he can't pay back.
Yes.
So is that house mine today, or is that house his today? It's just a future. It's just potentially mine. So what would be a good litmus test? Who can sell the house? So since he could sell the house, you see, it doesn't really belong to me.
The debtor.
The debtor, yeah.
The debtor.
Now, by the way, this is interesting because usually when you sell real estate, the Gemara always talks about having a achrayas. It's like insurance. So meaning people that sell real estate, they often sell it with a insurance policy, meaning that the buyer of real estate knows that real estate is very, is very, is very good. People are very, so therefore they buy it with insurance. He knows that it could be the guy that I just bought from. So let's say you buy from a realtor, or you buy from somebody. I buy from you a house. So I know that it could be that you owe someone money, and they have a lien on this house. Right. Therefore, implicit in our deal is if that house ever gets taken from me, you need to pay me back the money. Every seller, has to insure or often insures to the buyer. So, but that's not a fact.
That's from who has the right to sell.
Who has the right to sell it? So, in the world of muhzak versus ra'ui, you can have insurance from today until tomorrow, but at the end of the day, it's not yours. It's not considered yours.
So we're talking Brooklyn.
It's like sell the Brooklyn Bridge. That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that is 2 questions on Rabbah. Once again, Rabbah says that a firstborn cannot collect a double portion of the loan if it's money. The guy promised money, you do not get a double portion of that. But if he promised land, there's a lien on the land, then you do get a double portion of that. On that, Abai asked 2 questions. Rav Nachman, he flips it. He says that by land, you do not get a double portion of the land. That's too much of a future. That's ra'ui. That's not right now yours. Mm-hmm. However, by money, he says, if the guy promised you $100,000, so then you do get a double portion of that. So now, what are the questions on Rav Nachman? Let's see. Le Rav Nachman kasha. So the smaller Daf and Bava Batra are the harder ones, right? Because you have all these long responses on the side. So Le Rav Nachman kasha. What's the kasha? Ma'ishna. What's the difference? The karka. The lav ha karka shavakavuhon. You want to tell me, Rav Nachman, that karka, land, is not considered muhzak. It's not considered the father's. Enough that when he dies, the son gets a double portion. Why not? Because the father didn't leave off land. The father lent the guy money. So the land you will get back, right? That's all future. That's all future. That's like inheriting something which should have gone to you. It should have, it could have, it would have, but it didn't.
But not yet.
Not yet, exactly. Not yet. So that's very logical. The love hakarka shavakavun. It's not the land that your father left him. So hold on. Money should be the same way. Ma'os nami, money also. Lav hani ma'os shavakavun. The father didn't leave this money. He lent him money. But the money that's going to get paid back, right? Different bills, you go to the bank, you want 20s, 50s, and 100s, So the father gave you back in $10,000 bills. But you're going to get paid back in single dollar bills. That's all this guy has, whatever it is. So the money, lav hani ma'os shavakavuhon. That's question number 1. So what's your split? So we have the same question in each one. At the end of the day, it's not the same money being paid back, and it's not the land that he lent him. So it's both new things that are going to be coming, and each opinion splits. So we're asking each one of them, what's your split? That's 1. 2 is a much better question is you, Rav Nachman, yourself said something which seems to contradict this statement which you said. So now you have an internal contradiction. Sometimes those are harder, right, than an external contradiction, an external problem. V'od Amar of Nachman. Hamar of Nachman. Rav Nachman says, Amar Rabba Baravua. He said the following statement: Yisomim. So you have orphans. Now, Yisomim shegavu karka b'chova savihen bal chov chozer v'gova mehen. So you have a case of orphans where they inherited land from a borrower. So in this case, their father, who died, he owed a lot of money. A lot of money. So now what happens? He dies. So now the debt collector can come and collect from the Yisomim. Now, yeah. So 1 second. Once again, Rav Nachman is the one who says that future land is not considered like this. Future land is not considered mukzak, and therefore the bechor does not get a double portion. Okay, so what happens in the event that a father owes $100,000 to somebody, right? And now to the IRS, I don't know, and now they're going to come and collect. So the Yisomim only inherit that which the father actually owned, right? So now this father owed $100,000, and the debt collector is only allowed to collect that which the father owned. That which the orphans bought after the father died, he can't touch. So if he's owed $100,000 by this father and the father dies, and the orphans go and buy themselves a bunch of new property, that he can't touch that. He can only touch things that were around in the father's lifetime. So what's the halacha? Rav Nachman himself said that the IRS or the debt collector can come and collect the land from the Yisomim. So it must be that we view the land like it was already owed and already in the possession, so to speak, of the debt collector enough to collect when the father died. You get that right? 1 second. Right, you must view this as mukzak in the hand of the fathers, in the hands of the father. 1 second. Did I mix up the case? Man? Yisomim b'nei malva shekdavu karka min halova. You guys here for 1 second. I mixed up that these some were the children. 1 second, sorry. Oh, sorry. I confused the case. The Yisomim, what happened? They collected land, meaning they were the children of someone who lent out money. Their father lent out money, and now their children collected land in payment of a loan. So somebody owed their father money, and now the children were able to go and collect. And now what happened? A balcho, so somebody who the father owed money to, he went and can collect the land from them.
Okay.
So now, the Yisomim are only required to pay back the father's loans with the father's money, not with their own money. So the Yisomim are the children of a guy who lent out money, right? So the father lent out $100,000. Somebody owed them money. So now the father died. The Yisomim said, listen, Mr. You owe us money. So they went and they collected the land. They collected his house. Now somebody else came and said, listen, your father owes me $100,000. So now we're going to take that land back from you. Now that guy, the debt collector, is only able to take land that really belonged to the father. Anything which was newly acquired by the Yisomim, he cannot take. So what do you see from there? That really land that's future, that land that can be collected from is considered like it was already the father's. Since it was considered like it was already the father's, therefore the debt collector can come and take it from the Yisomim. So at the end of the day, when you're collecting from Yisomim something, it's only things that belong to the father. Now, this father died. He never had his house in his possession. The father died with a future. He had $100,000 that somebody owed him. Then he died. How do you view that person's house? The father never got the house. He left the world being owed $100,000, and the house is future payment. So the Yisomim were able to collect that, and someone else can come now and take that land back. Right? Mm-hmm. But they can only take the land back if that land really belonged to the father. They can't collect the Yisomim's new acquired property. So what do you see? You, Rav Nachman, yourself hold that land that's owed to be, meaning land that's going to be, if you're going to pay with land, it's much more muchzak than it is ra'ui. And the proof is that someone can come and collect land from Yisomim. Okay, so 2 questions on Abaye, on Rabbah, and 2 questions on Rav Nachman. So now Amar Le, so now Rabbah says back to Abaye, Lidi, lo lidi di kasha, velo Rav Nachman kasha. You think you have 4 questions total, 2 on me and 2 on Rav Nachman? I'll tell you, 0 questions on me and 0 questions on Rav Nachman. Why? Taima de b'nei ma'arava ka'amrinan. We weren't talking about our own opinions. We were just trying to explain the b'nei ma'arava, the people in Eretz Yisrael. Remember the previous, on towards the bottom of the previous Amud, it says they sent a telegram from over there, from Eretz Yisrael, saying that a firstborn can collect with from a loan. So we're just explaining what they hold. We argue within their opinion, can you collect from money or can you collect from land? But it's not a question on us. Yeah. Yeah. So now, and each of them differentiate that. How do you view a, when you have a lien? So the lien is here today, even though the land is not here today, but at least the lien is here today. So maybe that's considered muhsak already. And the other one says, no, you never gave out land, but maybe money represented in the shtar, that's here today. So each one's going to argue within the opinion of the Bnei Marav, of the Bnei Eretz Yisrael, but us, we don't hold that way. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Phew. What time is that? 6:45?
Yeah.
Okay. Mai Safta. Literally, what is a grandmother? But no, but that's not what we mean. We mean, what's the case? Yeah, what's the case of the grandmother? So, Mai Safta. So, what's the case of the grandmother? So Dahu the Amar Lahu. There was a man, and he said, I guess, to those listening, the following. Turn the page. Nichasai l'safta. I want my inheritance to go to my grandmother. I'm going to give her all my inheritance. Okay. Ubasra liyartoi. After it goes to the grandmother, I want it to be passed down to my heir, my son or daughter. Okay. Now, what was the case? Havya le Barta. He had a daughter. So, in our Sefer Bereshis examples, we have Yaakov. Yaakov was the grandson, right? Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. He was the 3rd generation. He has a daughter, Dinah, right? So Yaakov says, I want all my inheritance to go to Sarah Imenu. And after Sarah, I want it to go to Dinah. Okay. So now, Barta. Oh, so now, yeah. So now, Havale Barta, the Have Nesiva. He had a daughter, Dinah. Dinah was married. Okay, I don't know Dinah's husband's name. Who's Dinah?
Oh.
Shem.
Oh,
Before he got killed. I don't know. So Dinah's husband. So now, and Dinah had a husband. So now what happened? Shriva b'chaye baila. So she passed away in the life of her husband. U b'chaye safta. So Dinah passed away before her husband and before Sarah Imenu. Right, we're not talking about historically accurate events, but just for our example, Ubechai Safta. So now what happened? Ubechai Safta. Basar de Shriva Safta. Now the grandmother died. So first Dinah dies, then Sarah dies. So now what happens? Asa Baal, so Dinah's husband, I don't know, Plony. So Asa Baal, the husband came, and Katava, and he said, I want the inheritance of my former wife's great grandmother. It should go to me. So So Asa Bal Katava. He says he claimed I want the land. So Amar of Huna, when the guy said, when Yaakov said, I wanted to go to my grandmother and then to my descendants, so he said only to Liarti, to my descendant, to my heir right now, what he meant was to my heir and anybody who's going to inherit it afterwards. Liarti va'afil liarti yarti. So he didn't just mean that first generation, he means any generation afterwards. Liarti yarti. So therefore, okay, now we're going to explain towards the bottom why this is true, but basically he says that we're going to view, we'll explain in a second, we're going to view the great granddaughter as actually inheriting the land, and therefore the husband will inherit from her. We'll explain why. But at the end of the day, Rav Huna says the husband will get it because we don't view it as ra'ui. It's not ra'ui because we view as if the granddaughter got the land and now she's able to pass it on. We'll see why in a second. So that is Rav Huna. Rav Anan says Amar liyarti below liyarti yarti. Says no. When he said I wanted to go to my heir, he meant the first generation. He didn't mean anybody afterwards. Not first verse, meaning my direct heir. He didn't mean any not second generation, but no other heir other than this one. And therefore, if the great granddaughter never got it, her husband won't get it either. Okay. Turn this off. Okay. So Shalchu misam. They sent a telegram from the fire station. No, they sent a telegram from Eretz Yisrael. Four firemen last night came to the cold, but you weren't there.
Did they come in? Why they come in?
Someone called the fire department to fix the leak in the roof. I don't know.
How was that? I was working
We
at
had
a concert last
Oh, you
We
weren't
had to put the fire out ourselves.
Yeah, nice guys though. Not as nice as you, but okay. So Hilchasa Kivase, they sent a letter from Eretz Yisrael, 125b, 1, 2, 3, 6 lines down. Shalchu misam, they sent a letter from Eretz Yisrael. The halacha is as follows: Hilchasa Kivase de Rav Anan. The halacha is like Rav Anan that the great granddaughter's husband does not inherit the land. He does not inherit the land. However, vilav metame, but not for his reasoning. His reasoning was a linguistic reasoning. The guy said, I want my inheritance to go to my grandmother. If not to my grandmother, then to my direct heir, to my daughter. Says Rav Anan, yeah, only a direct heir, but nobody else. We're saying, so he's right in halacha, but not for the same reason. Why? Vilav metame. Why? Because Hilchasa Kivase de Rav Anan de Balo Yaris. Now we're going to explain. The halacha is like Rav Anan that the husband is not going to inherit the property that was supposed to go from the grandmother to the great granddaughter to him. However, Vilav metame, not for his reasoning. Why? The ilu Rav Anan savar afagav de havale bra lebarte lo yaris ve lohi. Rav Anan would hold the following: he only wanted the guy's daughter to inherit. So Yaakov only wanted Dinah to inherit. So even if Dinah had if Dinah had a son, right? So if Dinah had a son, Rav Anan would agree, even that son wouldn't inherit. It's only my direct heir and nobody else, just my daughter. The word Yarti was this heir, this daughter and nobody else. So we don't agree with him on that case. If that were the case, that Dinah left a son, we would say the son would get it.
Mhm.
It's just the husband doesn't get it. So when it comes to the husband, we both agree in halacha. We disagree in the reasoning. Why does that matter? Because if the case was different and there was no husband, there was a son, that's where you would find a difference. Why? Velohi, the ilu havele brole barte vadayaris. For sure, if the daughter had a son, for sure the son would inherit. Why wouldn't the son inherit? A son inherits ra'ui, not the firstborn portion, but a regular son would inherit ra'ui. So for sure he would inherit. And Rav Anan would say no, because the will was that only that first generation inherits and not afterwards. So now, why does a husband not inherit a bal hainu time and dilo yaris mishum dehavale ra'ui? What does the husband want? The land that my wife should have gotten if she would have died after her great-grandmother. Well, she died before her great-grandmother, so she never got that land from her great-grandmother, and therefore it's considered ra'ui. She was supposed to get it. She never got it. Since you're a husband, you're bound by the rules of ra'ui, just like a firstborn is, and therefore you are not going to receive it. Ve'ein habal notel b'ra'ui ki b'muksak. A husband does not inherit, land that should be going to you the same way he acquires land that's already yours. So that's why we hold the husband doesn't get it. Now, if you're saying that's only like Rav Anan, what about Rav Huna? Rav Huna says the husband does inherit. Michlal, is that to say? I mean, Rav Huna says the husband does get the land. What's his rationale? So simply you would say, he argues on this. He says the husband does inherit Ra'ui, but that doesn't have an explanation, because that would mean he was going against the Mishnah. I mean, everyone agrees to that rule. Ein habal notel b'ra'ui k'muksak. Michlal de Rav Huna savar bal notel b'ra'ui k'muksak. That can't be. So now we're going to figure out why in this case, once again, Yaakov, the grandson, said, after I die, all my property goes to my grandmother Sarah. And after she dies, I want it to go to my daughter. And now the daughter's husband comes and says, I want it. Now, the daughter died first, then the grandmother died. So the daughter never got that. So here, so listen to this logic. This is like, only a Gemara could say this. Yeah, Amr Belazar. So first he starts off in a humble way. Davar ze niftach b'gedolim. This halakhic matter, it was started by the great ones, meaning Rav Huna. V'nistayim b'ktanim. They ended off with the smaller ones like me. Yeah, so humility. 1, 2. V'nistayim b'ktanim. What's the logic? Like this. Kol ha'omer acharecha ke'omer ma'ach shavdami. When someone says, I want someone to inherit after me, they don't really mean just a succession of events. I want someone to inherit after this person. So here he said, I wanted my daughter to inherit after my grandmother inherits. He didn't mean, 1, 2, and then 3. That's not what he meant. What he meant was, I want my daughter to inherit today. I wanted to inherit today. However, I'm allowing my grandmother to use the land in the meantime. But really, I want it. It's ke'omer ma'ach shavdami. It's like he said, I wanted to eat it today. So therefore, since you hold to this logic, now when you say I want someone to inherit after somebody else, it means you want them to get it right now. So you're giving them the land now. The fruits of the land, who can use the land? Like a king in Paris, we had who can use the land? That the grandmother can use the land. However, it's yours today. Since it's yours today, therefore, whatever is yours today, the husband is able to acquire it. One more line. This logic makes a lot of sense, that we don't let the husband inherit it because it's considered ra'ui. Why? If the grandmother would have went and sold the land, it would have been a good sale. So you see that it's really her land, and she can do whatever she wants with it. So it's only potential land. So therefore, we say that the husband's claim to the land because of his wife is only ra'ui. It's all potential. How do you know it's potential? Because the grandmother could have sold it, and the great-granddaughter would have never seen it.